You have been sold a lethal lie, that to be a man of impact, you must burn with passion. That authenticity is found in the heat of your reactions, the warmth of your confessions, the feverish pitch of your ambitions. This is not strength. It is a thermodynamic catastrophe. Power is not a function of energy output. It is a measure of energy conservation. Every burst of anger, every flash of neediness, every spark of seek validation is a thermal signature. It broadcasts your coordinates, your fuel reserves, your breaking point. In the ecology of power, you are either the predator who reads the heat map or the prey glowing brightly against the cold, dark soil. The modern world worships the radiator but obeys the heat sink. Look at the figures who command true unspoken authority. Their power lies not in what they emit, but in what they absorb and neutralize. They are emotional null points. Your anxiety, your attempts to provoke, your bids for connection, they hit a surface of absolute zero and are rendered meaningless. This is the lens shift. Stop asking how to generate more heat. Your current temperature is a fatal liability. The question is how to achieve and maintain a state of strategic hypothermia. Your stillness is not passive. It is an aggressive act of removal from the economy of emotional transactions where you are the perennial monarch. Your cold is the silence that makes the chaos of others seem undignified, a silence that forces them to confront the echo of their own weakness. This is the foundation. Your first lesson is not in addition, but in subtraction. Begin by identifying every point where you leak thermal energy. Then seal them. Understand this mechanism. The human psyche is not wired to comprehend true stillness. It is a pattern-matching engine, trained on a lifetime of cause and effect, stimulus and emotional response. When you violate this programming, when an insult is met with analytic silence, when pressure is met with placid observation, when reward is met with a faint dismissive blink, you create a cognitive vacuum. The other mind, frantically seeking the familiar script of heat, finds nothing. In that vacuum, their own projections flood in. Your cold is not perceived as an absence. It is interpreted as a depth. Your silence is not emptiness, but a bottomless well containing whatever judgment, plan, or secret knowledge they most fear. This is the core psychological mechanism. Reality projection. By becoming a perfectly reflective, non-reactive surface, you force others to confront a reflection of their own internal state, stripped of your emotional interference. Their anger becomes hysterical against your calm. Their negotiations become pleading against your indifference. Your emotional stasis establishes you as the objective standard. You are the unmoved mover. This is the power of the glacier. It does not argue with the rock. It simply, over millennia, determines the rock's final position through its own immense patient mass. Your calm is not kindness. It is a geological fact. When you achieve this, their obedience is not a choice they make. It is a physical adaptation to the environment you have become. They obey because to disobey would be to rage against the climate itself. A futile, exhausting madness reserved for the soon-to-be extinct. Observe the thermal signatures of the condemned. These are not personalities. They are blueprints for exploitation, predictable in their emotional expenditure. Master their patterns so you never see them in your mirror. First, the passionate martyr. He believes his intense fervor for a cause, a person, or a principle is a strength. It is his exhaust port. He wears his heart on his sleeve, a perfect target. He will burn brightly, declare his loyalties, and in doing so, telegraph every single lever that can be used to manipulate him. His passion is not fuel for victory. It is the kindling others will use to cook him alive. His downfall arrives when the very cause he championed is used as the justification for his sacrifice. He is the man who dies for a flag, never realizing the flag was just cloth. Second, the reactive dog. His emotional state is a mere function of external stimuli. A provocation earns a snarl. A reward elicits a wag. He is a simple circuit of action and reaction, transparent and easily controlled. To own him, you need only condition his responses. Throw a stone of insult, he barks and strains. Offer a scrap of validation, he falls in line. His energy is siphoned off to fuel the agendas of those smart enough to hold the leash. His downfall is eternal predictability. He is a tool that believes it has agency. Third, the nervously gregarious. He fears the vacuum of silence, so he fills it with the heat of his own chatter, his false camaraderie, his desperate bids for belonging. This thermal bloom is a signal of profound weakness, a fear of being truly measured. He offers concessions preemptively, seeks approval constantly, and in his rush to be seen as warm, he melts any boundary he might have had. His downfall is self-inflicted. He hands his sovereignty over in tiny, friendly pieces until nothing remains but a puddle of good intentions soon to be evaporated and forgotten. These are the men who will be filtered out. Your task is to conduct a thermal audit, identify which archetype's heat still radiates from you, then extinguish it. 2027 is not a year. It is a filter. The environmental pressures that currently reward weakness are reaching their logical terminal point. Consider the vectors, AI-driven social scoring that quantifies your reliability not by your passion, but by your predictability and debt profile. Universal digital permanence, where every thermal leak, every heated tweet, every emotional podcast, every vulnerable video is archived, indexed, and weaponizable in perpetuity. Financial systems where algorithmic sentiment analysis trades against the emotional volatility of the masses. This is the ecosystem. In it, warmth is a detectable, exploitable, and ultimately fungible resource. Your emotional data will be mined and sold back to you as a product to pacify you or used as a lever to displace you. History is not the story of the warm-hearted. It is the ledger of the coldly pragmatic. The tribes that survived the Ice Age were not the most compassionate. They were the most efficient at conserving energy. The empires that rose did so on the backs of legions who obeyed not out of love, but out of disciplined, cold calculation of survival. This is human nature stripped of the fairy tale. We are a species that selects for operational fitness, not moral warmth. The coming selection accelerates this truth. The soft skills peddled by the dying era, empathy, vulnerability, emotional intelligence as confession, will be the very attributes that mark you for managed obsolescence. You will be parsed, not as a person, but as a set of thermal fluctuations to be smoothed out by the system or fed to its engines. The threat is not violence. It is irrelevance. A warm man in a cold, efficient system is a gear that melts itself, replaced without a second thought by a component that does not generate friction. Your emotional reserves are no longer just your own. They are a system liability. The selection has already begun. The cold are being silently coded into the next iteration of the structure. The warm are being curated into containment zones of consumption and complaint. Which environment will you be compatible with? Your transformation is not metaphysical. It is mechanical. You will implement thermal locks across every vector of perception. This is not suppression. It is the surgical replacement of reaction with calibrated response. Begin with the physiological triad. Your voice is a thermal gauge. Lower its baseline frequency. Introduce deliberate, silent pauses, not for thought, but to force the other mind to swim in the void you create. Your gaze must become an observational tool, not an expressive one. Practice holding eye contact until the other party is compelled to break it, revealing their subordinate thermal state. Master the art of the latency period. Between stimulus and your response, insert a vacuum of 3 to 5 seconds. An insult arrives. A demand is made. The silence that follows is not processing. It is a demonstration that their output is insufficient to trigger your systems. This latency is the first taste of your cold. Your online presence must shift from a campfire, gathering, sharing warmth, to a surveillance satellite, observing, transmitting only essential data. Every post, comment, or like is a thermal emission. Scrub sentimental language. Replace opinions with unemotional observations. Strip your digital identity of any predictive emotional pattern. Become a low-probability target for algorithms and human manipulators alike. Your communications adopt the terse acknowledgement protocol. Noted. Understood. I'll factor that in. These are not conversations. They are system alerts you choose to broadcast. Finally, social thermodynamics. You cease participating in the exchange of emotional currency. You do not validate through shared heat. When met with drama, you offer analysis. When met with panic, you offer procedure. You become a social heat sink, drawing the chaotic energy from a room and dissipating it into nothing, leaving only the stark facts of a situation. Your relationships are no longer bonds of warmth, but alliances of mutual utility, acknowledged with cold clarity. You are not being rude. You are being efficient. Your energy signature flatlines. You become, for all external observers, a closed system. This is operational cryogenics. You are not feeling less. You are leaking nothing. The death of the man, the birth of the event. This is the final phase of the transformation. You are not becoming a colder man. You are ceasing to be a man as they understand it. A psychology to be parsed, a heart to be swayed, a set of needs to be manipulated. The identity that was built on warmth, reaction, and social entanglement must undergo a complete ontological death. In its place, you cultivate an entity that operates on a different principle. You become an event. An event is not negotiated with. It is accounted for. A storm does not debate its path. It is prepared for or suffered. A sovereign does not explain his decrees. They are enacted. Your will ceases to be a desire and becomes a feature of the landscape. This is achieved when your internal state is permanently decoupled from external perception. There is no real you behind the calm. The calm is the totality. Any past identity, the passionate one, the reactive one, the needy one, is now a corpse you use for disinformation, a ghost story you allow others to believe if it is useful. You are now a phenomenon of resolved will. People no longer obey you. They obey the gravitational field your presence generates. They align with your decisions, not because they are persuaded, but because deviation seems irrational. Like arguing with gravity, your silence is not empty. It is a force that compels others to fill it, revealing their hand. Your minimal actions carry disproportionate weight because they are perceived not as actions, but as seismic shifts. You have moved from the economy of emotion to the physics of power. The man died in the thaw. What remains is the climate, the 0-degree mandate. The year 2027 is not a destination. It is a diagnostic. It is the point on the horizon where the consequences of your current thermal signature become irreversible. The filtration process is already underway in every algorithm, every professional vetting, every silent assessment of your leadership potential. This is your final warning. The timeline is not generous. The world is not moving toward warmth and understanding. It is hardening into a crystalline structure of pure transactional efficiency. Emotional beings will be relegated to the consumer pods, pacified, monitored, and managed. Sovereign entities will operate in the spaces between, where cold logic is the only currency that holds value. This is the zero-degree mandate. You must now choose your side of the coming filter. There is no middle ground. Lukewarm is the most dangerous state of all. Detectable is human, but lacking the utility of the machine or the sovereignty of the cold. It is the prototype that gets scrapped. The elite CTA is this: begin the deep freeze tonight, not tomorrow. Not after one more emotional outburst. Tonight. Conduct your thermal audit. Identify your primary archetype of heat and execute its termination. Implement your first physiological latency. Delete 3 emotional digital posts. Rehearse the terse acknowledgement protocol once in a mirror. This is not practice. This is the first insertion of the cryogenic needle. The old identity will scream, let it die. Your survival beyond the filter depends on a single measurable metric, the consistent absolute zero of your operational presence. The clock is not ticking. It has already elapsed. The only question remaining is whether you will be selected or scrapped. The mandate is given. Obey it. If this helped you, then subscribe and write your feelings.